You're replaceable. Don't forget that, she said during the argument. I looked at everything I'd been paying for. Her rent, her car, her credit cards. I said if I'm replaceable, then so is what I provide, and canceled it all. She called 3 days later when her card declined at dinner with friends. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I treat my life the same way I treat my work. I assess risk, manage assets, and look for a return on investment. That might sound cold to some people, but it's how I've built a net worth that puts me in the top 1% for my age group. I don't flaunt it. I drive a 4-year-old sedan. I wear unbranded clothes, and I max out my retirement accounts. Sarah hated that about me. We had been together for 3 years. In the beginning, she was grounded. She worked as a marketing coordinator, made decent money, and we split things 60-40 based on income. But about a year ago, she decided she wanted to pivot. She wanted to become a lifestyle creator. She quit her job to focus on her brand. I supported it. I loved her, and I could afford to carry us. I took over the rent for our downtown apartment, which she insisted we needed for the aesthetic. I took over the lease on her luxury SUV because she couldn't keep up with the payments. I paid for the dinners, the trips, and the clothes she needed for content. For the last 12 months, I was the sole provider. Her contribution to the household income was zero. Actually, it was negative if you count the credit card debt she racked up on the supplementary card I gave her for emergencies. Then came Jared. Jared was a consultant she met at a networking event. He was everything I wasn't. He drove a leased Lamborghini, wore suits that cost more than my first car, and constantly talked about a high-level mindset. He was flashy, loud, and supposedly rich. Suddenly, I was boring. I was stagnant. Jared thinks you play it too safe, she told me over dinner one night, barely looking up from her phone. He says you have a scarcity mindset. That's why you won't buy me that Cartier bracelet. You're afraid to spend. I'm not afraid of spending, Sarah, I said calmly, cutting my steak. I'm afraid of wasting. There's a difference. And I don't care what Jared thinks. She rolled her eyes. Of course you don't. You don't care about networking. You just want to sit in your little office and hoard money. The disrespect started as a drip, then turned into a flood. Late nights brainstorming with Jared. Weekend trips for content creation where I wasn't invited because I would ruin the vibe. I wasn't blind. I knew what was happening emotionally, even if I hadn't caught them physically yet. She was monkey branching. She was testing the waters with Jared to see if he was a viable upgrade before letting go of the safety net. The safety net was me. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I had just gotten home from a 10-hour day at the firm. The apartment was a mess. PR packages everywhere, clothes scattered across the floor. Sarah was on the balcony, laughing on the phone with that breathless, flirtatious laugh she used to save for me. She walked in, saw me, and her face immediately fell. The smile disappeared. You're home early, she said, sounding disappointed. It's 7 p.m., Sarah. I'm actually late. Well, we need to talk, she said, crossing her arms. Jared invited us to a gala this weekend in Miami. VIP tables, it's huge for my brand. I need you to book the flights and the hotel, the Mandarin Oriental. I set my keys on the counter. I'm not flying to Miami to watch you flirt with a guy who disrespects me, Sarah. And I'm certainly not paying $5,000 for the privilege. The air in the room shifted. It went from tense to hostile. You are so controlling, she spat. It's always about money with you. You use it to control me because you know you have nothing else to offer. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the designer dress I paid for, the hair extensions I paid for, the phone in her hand that was on my family plan. I offer stability, Sarah. I offer a home. I offer a life where you don't have to work. She laughed. It was a cruel, ugly sound. Stability? That's just code for boring. You think because you pay the bills you own me? Let me tell you something, Mark. She stepped closer, invading my space. Her finger pointed in my face. You are nothing special. There are a million guys with jobs. Jared has vision. Jared has passion. You're just a checkbook and you're replaceable. Don't forget that. I could have 10 guys in this apartment by tonight who would treat me like a queen just to be seen with me. There it was, the truth. She didn't see a partner, she saw a utility. I was a toaster. I was a Wi-Fi router, and apparently I was malfunctioning. In the past, I would have argued. I would have tried to reason with her. I would have asked why she was being so hurtful. But something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was quiet. It was the sound of a contract being terminated. The emotional part of my brain shut down, and the professional part took over. I looked at the woman I had planned to propose to, and all I saw was a liability. "Okay," I said. My voice was steady. No shouting, no tears. She blinked, confused by my lack of reaction. "Okay, what?" "Okay," I repeated. "If I'm replaceable, then so is what I provide. That's how the market works, right? Supply and demand. What is that supposed to mean?" She scoffed, turning back toward the balcony. "God, you're so dramatic. I'm going to Jared's to prep for the trip." "Don't wait up." She grabbed her purse, the Louis Vuitton I bought her for Christmas, and stormed out. She slammed the door so hard the pictures on the wall rattled. She expected me to text her. She expected me to beg, to apologize, to book the tickets to Miami, to prove I wasn't cheap. She thought she had all the leverage because she believed I was afraid of losing her. She was wrong. I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was done paying for her. I didn't sleep that night. I worked. I opened my laptop and pulled up our financials. I created a checklist. It was time to divest. 8 a.m., Wednesday. I called my boss and took 2 personal days. Then I went to the leasing office in our building. The property manager, Linda, knew me well. I was the one who always dropped off the rent check. "Hey Mark, everything okay?" she asked. "I need to terminate my lease." I said immediately, "Oh, you know there's a penalty for that. It's 2 months' rent plus the break fee." It was a lot of money, nearly $8,000. Sarah knew I was frugal. She would never imagine I'd burn $8,000 just to make a point. But this wasn't about money anymore. It was about eviction. "I'll write the check right now," I said. "I want the lease terminated effective immediately. I'm vacating today." "Okay," Linda said, typing. "Since Sarah is listed as an occupant but you're the sole leaseholder, once you terminate, the legal right to occupancy ends. We'll have to issue a notice to vacate for any remaining property. She'll have 48 hours to get her things out before we change the locks." "Perfect," I said. "Do it." 9:30 a.m. I went. Back up to the apartment. Sarah wasn't there. She had stayed at Jared's, just as I expected. I didn't touch her things. I didn't throw her clothes out the window or pour bleach on them. That's what emotional people do. I simply packed my life. My clothes, my electronics, my documents, my personal items. It took me 3 hours to erase myself from the apartment. When I was done, the place looked strange. It was full of her clutter, but completely devoid of my presence. 12:45 p.m. I walked down to the parking garage. Her white Range Rover was parked in spot 4B. The lease was in my name. The insurance was in my name. The insurance was in my name. She was an authorized driver, but I was the owner of record. I had the spare key in my pocket. I unlocked it. The interior smelled like her perfume and someone else's cologne. Cheap, musky cologne. Jared. There was a coffee cup in the holder with lipstick on the rim. I felt a wave of nausea, but I pushed it down. Business, I reminded myself. This is just asset recovery. I started the engine. I drove the car out of the garage, leaving spot 4B empty. I drove straight to the dealership where I had leased it. "I want to do an early turn-in," I told the bewildered sales manager. "Sir, you have 18 months left on this contract. You're going to take a hit on the equity." "I don't care," I said, handing him the keys. "I wanted it off my name. Today, I paid the difference. I signed the papers. I watched them drive the car into the back lot to be detailed. 2 p.m., I sat in the lobby of a Marriott downtown. I opened my banking app, supplementary card ending in 4098. Sarah, status active, action, lock. Joint checking account funded 100% by me. Status active. Action, transfer funds. I moved every cent out of the joint account back into my personal savings. I left the account open with a balance of $0. Then I did the most important thing. I opened my phone settings, Sarah, block caller, Instagram, block user, TikTok, block user. I deleted our photos. I didn't archive them. I deleted them. I checked into my room, ordered a club sandwich, and sat by the window looking out over the city. It was done. In the span of 6 hours, I had become a ghost. I had no address, she knew. She had no car. She had no money. She had no lease. She thought I was replaceable. Fine. I simply removed myself from the equation. Now let's see how the equation balances out. She didn't notice on Wednesday. She didn't notice on Thursday. I assumed she was living it up with Jared, enjoying her freedom from my boring stability, probably telling him how she finally stood up to me. She probably thought I was sitting at home stewing, waiting for her to come back so I could apologize. Friday night came. I was at the hotel bar having a drink with an old college friend, finally relaxing. My phone didn't ring because I had her blocked, but a notification popped up from my bank app. Chase fraud alert. Transaction declined. $485 at STK Steakhouse. Reason: card locked by user. 2 minutes later, transaction declined. $485 at STK Steakhouse. 5 minutes later, transaction declined. $12 at Uber. I took a sip of my whiskey. It was smooth. Then my friend's phone rang. He looked at the screen, frowned, and then looked at me. "Dude," he said, "it's Sarah. Why is she calling me?" I smiled, put it on speaker. My friend Dave looked at me with hesitation. He knew Sarah, but he never really liked her. He always thought she tried too hard. He hovered his thumb over the answer button. "Do it," I said, swirling the ice in my glass. He tapped the speaker icon. "Hello, Dave." Oh my God, thank God. Sarah's voice came through, high-pitched and frantic. The background noise was loud. Clinking silverware, chatter, the hum of a buh. "Sir Restaurant, is Mark with you? I can't get a hold of him. His phone goes straight to voicemail." Dave looked at me. I stayed silent, just staring at the phone. "I haven't seen him." Dave lied smoothly. "What's wrong?" "There's something wrong with the bank," she practically screamed. "I'm at STK with the girls and my card is declining. Both of them, the gold and the platinum. It's embarrassing, Dave. The waiter is standing right here looking at me like I'm broke. Tell Mark to call the bank immediately. He probably forgot to pay the bill or something stupid." "Sarah," Dave said, his voice calm. "Mark is pretty good with money. I doubt he forgot." "Well, something is wrong." She was panicking now. "And my Uber app isn't working either. I tried to order a ride to get out of here and it says, payment method invalid. I'm stranded. I need Mark to fix this now." I leaned forward and whispered to Dave, "Hang up." "Sarah, I've got to go," Dave said. "Wait, don't you dare hang up on." Click. Dave set the phone down on the bar. "That sounded expensive. $485, I said. Plus tip." I knew exactly what was happening. She was sitting at a table with her influencer friends, the same ones who called me the ATM behind my back. She had probably offered to treat them to celebrate her upcoming Miami trip with Jared. Now she was the one who couldn't pay. She would have to ask one of them to cover her. The humiliation would be absolute. But the night was just getting started. Around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Mark, pick up the phone. It's Jessica." Sarah is freaking out. Jessica was her best friend, the enabler. I ignored it. Then another text, this time from Sarah, presumably from Jessica's phone. "Mark, where are you? My key isn't working. I'm at the apartment and the fob won't let me into the building. The concierge says I'm odd on the list anymore. What the hell is going on? Pick up." I signaled the bartender for another round. "Mark, seriously, this isn't funny. All my stuff is in there. I need to get inside. The doorman is threatening to call the police if I don't stop banging on the glass." Stop playing games, I decided to break my silence. Not to engage, but to clarify the terms of the new arrangement. I typed a reply to Jessica's number. "Jessica, tell Sarah that I terminated the lease on Wednesday. The apartment is vacated. The management company has been informed that I surrendered the unit. She has 24 hours to coordinate with them to retrieve her property before it's considered abandoned. Also, tell her the Range Rover has been returned to the dealership. She'll need to arrange her own transportation." I hit send. The phone rang immediately. "Jessica." I let it ring. It rang again and again. I imagined the scene. Sarah standing on the sidewalk in her heels, locked out of the building she mocked me for paying for, realizing she had no home, no car, and no money. Saturday morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and a string of voicemails from random numbers. I deleted them all without listening. I had a coffee and went to the gym. For the first time in a year, I didn't feel the weight of her expectations pressing down on me. I didn't have to worry about whether I was being exciting enough. I was just free. Around noon, my mother called. This one I had to answer. "Mark," she said, sounding worried. Sarah just called the house phone. She was crying hysterically. She said you threw her out on the street and stole her car. She said you're having a mental breakdown. Is everything okay? I'm fine, Mom, I said, stepping off the treadmill. I didn't steal her car. It was my car. I returned the lease, and I didn't throw her out. I moved out. She told me I was replaceable. So I let her replace me. Oh, my mom said after a pause. Well, she asked if she could stay with us for a few days. I laughed. Mom, if you let her in the house, check your jewelry box before she leaves. I told her no. My mom said firmly, I never liked how she talked to you at Thanksgiving. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. I've never been better. Sunday was the day of the Miami trip. The trip she was supposed to take with Jared. I'll admit I was curious. So I did something I shouldn't have. I unblocked her Instagram for 5 minutes just to check. Her story was active, but it wasn't a video from the Mandarin Oriental or a view from a private jet. It was a text post, black background, white letters. Realizing who your real friends are. Some people are just toxic energy vampires who want to see you fail. Taking a break from socials for a bit. #healing #betrayal. No Miami. I later learned what happened through mutual acquaintances. When Sarah realized she was homeless and without a car, she went to the only place she thought she still had, Jared's. She took an Uber paid for by Jessica to his place with her suitcases in hand, expecting to be welcomed by her soulmate. She probably believed it was the start of their great romance. The moment she finally left her boring ex for the man who understood her passion. But Jared didn't live in a penthouse. Jared lived in a 2-bedroom apartment he shared with 3 other guys. He didn't own the Lamborghini either. He rented it on Turo on weekends to impress girls. And when Sarah showed up at his door, hysterical, broke, and with nowhere to live, demanding to move in, Jared panicked. He didn't want a dependent. He wanted a fun, low-stakes fling with a girl who had her own money. My money. He wanted the girl who drove the Range Rover, not the girl who needed a ride to the bus stop. He didn't just say, no. He laughed at her. Babe, I can't have you crashing here, he apparently told her. My roommates would kill me. Besides, I thought you were independent. That was kind of the whole vibe. When she told him she couldn't afford the Miami trip because I had cut her off, he canceled the trip, said he had business to attend to. He dumped her on his doorstep. She spent the weekend couch surfing at Jessica's studio apartment, sleeping on a futon. Monday morning, the reality of her finances hit. She had bills. Her phone bill was due. I canceled the family plan. Her health insurance, I removed her as a dependent. Her credit card minimum payments. She had 0 income. That evening, I was leaving my office building. I stepped out into the cool evening air, checking my emails. Mark, I stopped. She was standing near the planter box. She looked rough. Her hair wasn't done. She was wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. I recognized it. It was mine. She looked smaller. Deflated. She didn't have that arrogant lifestyle influencer posture anymore. She looked like a girl who had spent 3 days crying. I can't believe you did this to me, she said. Her voice shook, trying to sound angry but landing somewhere closer to pathetic. You ruined everything. I didn't do anything to you, Sarah, I said, keeping my distance. I just stopped doing things for you. I'm homeless, Mark. I'm sleeping on Jessica's floor. Jared turned out to be a total fraud. He's a loser. Wow, I said flatly. That's crazy. I guess he wasn't an upgrade after all. She stepped closer, tears filling her eyes. I didn't mean what I said. I was just mad. You know how I get when I'm stressed. We can fix this. I miss you. I miss us. You don't miss us, I corrected her. You miss the apartment. You miss the Range Rover. You miss the platinum card. That's not true, she sobbed. I love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have told me I was replaceable. I checked my watch. I have to go. I have a dinner reservation. With who? She snapped, the old jealousy flaring instantly. That's none of your business. But hey, good luck with the brand. I'm sure this is great content for your healing journey. I walked past her. She reached out and grabbed my arm. Mark, please. I have nowhere to go. My parents won't take me back. Please just let me stay at the hotel with you for a few nights. Just until I get back on my feet. I looked at her hand on my sleeve. Then I looked into her eyes. I searched for any real remorse, any sign she understood the weight of what she'd done. I didn't see it. All I saw was desperation. She was looking for a host. I gently removed her hand from my arm. You said you could have 10 guys in the apartment by tonight, I said quietly. Why don't you call one of them? I turned and walked to the curb where my Uber was waiting. I didn't look back. The next 6 months were a blur of productivity. I got a promotion at work. Turns out when you're not stressing about a partner spending your money faster than you can earn it, your performance improves. I bought a small condo just for myself. Minimalist, clean, quiet. I met someone new too, Elena. She's a pediatric nurse. On our first date, she insisted on splitting the bill. I almost proposed right there. One evening, Elena and I were at a charity event downtown. It was a black tie affair, catered by some of the best restaurants in the city. I was grabbing a drink at the bar when I noticed a server moving through the crowd with a tray of champagne flutes. She kept her head down, trying to stay invisible. It was Sarah. She looked tired. She had aged 5 years and 6 months. Her influencer dreams had clearly evaporated once the funding dried up. Now she was working catering to pay rent on whatever room she had managed to find. She looked up and saw me. She froze. She saw the tuxedo. She saw the peace on my face. Then she saw Elena walk up to me, slip her arm through mine, and laugh at something I said. Sarah's eyes drifted to Elena's wrist. There was a simple, elegant bracelet there. Not Cartier, just something thoughtful I had picked out. Sarah looked down at her tray, her face turning red. Then she turned and hurried away into the kitchen. I watched her go. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt nothing. Who was that? Elena asked, noticing where I was looking. Nobody, I said, taking a sip of my drink. Just someone I used to invest in. Bad return. I turned my back to the kitchen and focused on the woman who actually valued me. Sarah was right about one thing. I was replaceable. But so was she, and I had definitely upgraded. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments.